We are going. Kill the tunes for us, please, bud. Right. Nutrition seminar for time. I will not keep you on your Friday evenings, but thank you for coming. Go. Right, we've got a 4-week challenge coming up. This challenge is a little bit different for those that have done it before. I'll go through a lot of the content that you have gone through. Like Sammy and Emma, you've been here for ages, so you've probably seen some of this before. Some of you might not have seen it before. I know, Mish, you did the one in November? Like back last year, yeah. But the principles are all the same, and I think that's really key throughout the whole presentation. Things that you may know or you may not know is not that important. What is most important is if you don't know something, and I want you to ask me at some point, either now or over the WhatsApp group, so that you are absolutely clear for the whole challenge. One person in the challenge last time did this, wasn't quite sure what they were doing, didn't really ask any questions, and then got nothing from it. And I felt like, not that it was a waste of time, but I didn't do a good enough job in explaining it. So if you don't understand anything, particularly in what you need to do over the next 4 weeks, please just ask me. That's the main thing, whether you've been to one before or this is your first one. So throughout the presentation, I was talking about what we'll do over the next 4 weeks. The key points around the whole challenge are that there are 0 expectations on what you have to do. There are no punishments for not doing the thing unless we have like a little bit of fun about it. All I want you to do over the next 4 weeks is have a better 4 weeks than what you would have done if you hadn't have signed up to the challenge. Part of the accountability challenge, the reason why I don't set it as like a fat loss challenge or anything like that, I think the reason why we all train so hard is because we're all accountable to the group that we're in, the coaches. You pay a membership, so you come along. The 4 weeks should just be that you improve in some way. Everyone's improvement is going to look different. It's not going to be just around body weight. It might not be around nutrition. It might be around being more consistent around exercise, or Sophie has a little bit of an anomaly last time, just did it around drinking water, and she drank more water over the 6 weeks. Just pick something that you want to improve on, and then you'll have a good 4 weeks. If you have a particular nutrition or activity goal, we can dive in a little bit deeper, which are on the sheets. There's a chance later on in the presentation where you'll get to fill them out, so don't feel like you've got to fill them out now or as we go along. We'll spend maybe a couple of minutes filling them out for one slide. But what we will be doing is educating yourselves, but not focusing on restriction. I want you to spend 4 weeks practicing and then working out what you can do to take along. If I'm going to, Claire, because you just looked at me, I'm going to single you out. Do you feel like from the first challenge you learned something? Do you feel like if you didn't do this challenge you would still be able to apply what you learned?
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to build on it.
Perfect. And that's exactly what I want to hear. I want you to be able to listen to this presentation and then build on it from there. And if you just do the 4 weeks, you should be doing something that you can take onto life. So it isn't around restriction. I want to be really clear on, there are loads of things around nutrition that are around like eating disorders, the emotional attachment to nutrition. I'm talking at this purely from a principle standpoint, not from the more intricate parts of nutrition, particularly when it comes to weight loss and eating. If you feel like you are susceptible or suffering with something like that, we can talk about it, and you can still do bits. Like I said, it isn't just about nutrition. You can improve in multiple other ways. Maybe nutrition isn't the thing that you're focused on. We can focus on something like activity, because you will be able to still get results. But if you do feel like you're worried in some way, please let me know. Right, that's kind of all the serious bits out of the way. What you will do over the next 4 weeks is you'll use 3 things that I believe will help you get success and get you results over the 4 weeks. You're going to have ways of being consistent, because we're going to keep it really simple. You're going to be accountable to me, the group, yourselves, and then hopefully you'll build enough knowledge that you are confident in the things that you are doing are going to take you to the place that you want to go for. The challenge is for 28 days, and I actually think when you think 28 days, that isn't that long, is it really? If I ask you to do something for 28 days, you can pretty much try your hardest to get something done. I'm not asking you to run a marathon every day. I'm asking you to do some simple tips and tricks. And it should be something different to what your usual life is. The part of it being a challenge, it should feel like you're having a conscious effort to do something different. A bit like when you first started the gym, or you started a different hobby, or you start something at work. It's just something different, because what you're currently doing, without being harsh, isn't getting you where you want to be. You need to just change something up. And if over the 4 weeks you change it and nothing changes, doesn't matter, you've learned something. So just be different over the next 28 days. This is everything that applies to nutrition. So we've got your calories, or more scientifically termed, your energy balance, which the typical terms like deficit, maintenance, and surplus. It essentially just means how much energy you're taking in and how much energy you're burning. As how much, where your balance lies. Are you consuming too much? Are you consuming too little? Are you more active? Are you less active? Are you balanced in the middle? All of that is the umbrella for all of the other things that a lot of people focus on probably a little bit too much, whilst forgetting about the basic thing. So you got your macronutrients, which we won't go into, because after doing multiple presentations, I actually feel like it's pointless. Macronutrients don't really apply unless you're in the top 1-2% of performance athletes. I think everybody can get most of the improvements just through focusing on just calories alone. But as a little bit of a way to frame them, you've got your Go, your Grow, and your Mojo. Those that wasn't here last time, I maybe ask you if no one else guesses it, but can anyone guess what macronutrient would be classified as Go? Carbohydrates, yes. What about growing? Protein. Mojo, fats. I think thinking about it like this makes fats seem way less evil. Fats get a bit of a bad rap, but fats are essentially the macronutrient that make you feel good, that help you with your hormone balance, like your nail, hair, skin, all health. Like you have to have fats. It's more essential than carbohydrates. You can live without carbohydrates, but you can't live without fats. You have to have that. So if one thing I would like to do just from that very short talk or section is don't demonize fats. Fats are good. Fats are our friends. Makes you feel good. Macronutrients are the little things that make you feel good, like Soph calls me. I'm a macronutrient. That's essentially all like the different bits and bobs that I think people again will focus a little bit too much on. You will get that just through everything that you're already doing. If you've got a balanced diet, you will have some sort of micronutrients in there, maybe having like a multivitamin. Unless you've got an extremely restricted diet, you wouldn't need to focus on macronutrients because you're just kind of doing it without even knowing. And then hydration, hopefully you are all drinking lots, particularly because we exercise a lot, and as the sun comes back, hopefully we'll be needing to drink a lot more, but that is a very, very important part of performance. The reason why I've gone through all that is because there is so much to do with nutrition that it can get a little bit confusing. But I want you to make it simple, and I want you to just focus on, from the nutrition side, for this 4 weeks, just the top part, which is your energy balance. This should hopefully make you think about just the energy balance in a way that the balance goes. If the balance tips one way or the other way, the things that come with it and the things that you might feel, but the things that you should think about depending on the results you want. So just focusing on fat loss, because most people want to achieve fat loss by changing their energy balance. Your body needs energy to move, grow, survive, train as hard as we all do, feel good, just general things, talk to people in a nice way rather than being really grumpy. If you're low on energy, that's certainly not happening. But if you are not consuming enough energy, your body will do something to try and bring it back into balance. It will increase your hunger, because when you don't have enough energy, you then want to eat more. Or it will use your fat stores, because you've already got things within your body that will be used as energy. It will use use your glycogen stores first, that are sort of like readily available energy. It'll then use your fat stores, and then it'll start to break down like muscle tissue, but that's like an extreme side of things. What we want to do really is be in a position where we don't have enough energy consumed from something, so that we start to use our body fat stores. So you might feel feelings of hunger, which is important to recognize. Feeling hungry isn't necessarily a bad thing, and the way we relate to hunger is very different to what the hunger hormone should represent. Like, if you think about, I don't necessarily agree with this, but it's a good analogy. Back in caveman times, people probably were much more hungry than we were because food was way less readily available. Their hunger will have felt much different than our hunger. I get hungry if I don't have my dessert after my main meal because I'm so used to having a dessert after my main meal and I just instantly feel hungry. But that's more from habitual rather than an actual need. Now, I reckon actual hunger, I don't think any of us have probably felt. Like, where your body is like, I need something right now. We've all probably felt a little bit wobbly, but there's probably more extreme versions of that. So when you're in a position where you're not consuming enough energy and you do feel hungry and your goal is fat loss, that's actually part of a good thing because that shows that you are doing the right thing. Now, if you consume too much energy, your hunger technically decreases. But food is super tasty and people get paid a lot of money to make you want to eat more, consume more, buy more, and as smart as we are, they are way smarter than us. So if you are someone that is consuming too much energy and you're not hungry, you'll probably continue to eat. Who but still eating? Everybody, yeah? So what happens? You increase your fat stores. So even though your hunger is decreased, your fat stores will increase, your glycogen stores will increase. Good thing if you want to grow, particularly if you want to grow muscle, you need to be in some sort of position where your energy can be put towards growing in some way. But your actions, both nutritionally and physically, dictate the outcome. And you're in control of whatever you decide to do. If it is fat loss, if it is growth, or if it's just having a better relationship with food, you should be able to understand the feelings that you're going to feel. You should be able to manipulate it in the way you want to, whether that's nutritionally or physically, which I'll talk about a little bit further on. But whatever it is, you should be able to make the decisions to take you where you want to go, particularly for the next 28 days, because you're maybe going to be a little bit more mindful about those decisions. And hopefully you've got a really nice clean run of 28 days. I thought about this last time, and I think this is a really good way to think about where you want to go. You're going to be making daily tugs, okay? If you're trying to go towards fat loss, you're trying to lose weight, you're going to tug in the direction of pulling it towards losing weight, which the two main things that are the easiest to control are your activity and controlling your calories. Excuse me. Controlling your calories first. Make note there that I haven't said have low calories. I think controlling your calories is a better way to think about it. It doesn't necessarily mean that you just need to eat less or eat nothing. It just means you need to be controlled in some way. Because there's some decisions within the day that you probably don't need those calories. It might be that you just make 50% of those decisions where some of them are fun to have and some of them you don't need. I'm not expecting you to be always super militant and go David Goggins on me, but I do think you could maybe think about controlling them in some way. It could be that for 50% of those decisions you think, I don't really need that, so I'm not going to have it. 50% could be, I want to have it, but then you've already just improved by 50%. It could be that if somebody brings in a slice of cake, you could think, rather than have a normal slice, I'm going to have half a slice. And again, you've just got 50% improvement. So you're still having the thing that you want to have, but you're just controlling it in some way. And those mindful actions will pull you in the direction of weight loss. Activity then will be your gym work, which you all try really, really hard in. Now, unfortunately, what you do within these four walls doesn't contribute that much to what you do compared to what you do outside of the four walls. Who sits down for a job? That's going to be one of your biggest battles. That doesn't mean that you will fail. What that does mean is you can do some simpler actions, like standing up more, little walks. I know some people go like, Sammy, you go for walks at lunch, don't you? What's been really cool is Anna, I know, has a quite high pressure job and she's sat down for most of it. But when she comes in, rather than coming in, sitting down and talking to people, she'll go on the runners. So that her hour session becomes an hour and 20 minutes, but she's increasing her steps. Just little things like that, I think, will start to tug you in the right direction. So smaller bits of activity away from the gym, because you all already smashed the gym. What you do outside is going to be more important. But also, you've got to think you can bring it this way. You can consume unnecessary calories or not within what we talk about when we set your budgets, or you can be inactive. You can do these things, but if you do more of these things, it'll pull you more this way. If you do more of these things, it'll pull you more that way. I want you all to, over the 28 days, just keep pulling in that direction. If you can do it for 28 days, you'll have a fantastic result. If you do it 20 days, you'll have still good a result, but not as good as if you could have done 20 days. So just keep going in that direction. The energy in. Everything that you consume contributes towards your calorie targets that we will set. That's literally everything. You can control that through many ways, and you can do it through however way you want. There's many ways to skin a cat. You can do it just through sheer willpower and not really be that focused about it. That's kind of like trying to get good at something, but not really paying attention to anything you're doing. If you try and get really good at squats, and you just come in every day and just squat really hard, but not pay attention to whatever weight's on the bar, or what you did last time, or what the session is, and you try to do that many reps, and you just come in and squat, that's just willpower, and you will get better at squatting, but you're not going to be as focused and optimal as you can be. If you keep some sort of diary, I think food diaries are really, really good, particularly for a short period of time. I don't keep a food diary, but every now and again, maybe for a week, I will track what I'm having. It'll kind of recalibrate me back in. If you can keep a food diary for the 28 days, to me, that is the most accurate way of making sure that you're controlling everything that goes in, which will be the tug in the direction that you want to go for fat loss. Or gaining if you want to maintain or gain. Other ways that you can do without the food diary is just controlling your portions. The typical ones are like smaller plates, or halving the portions that you already have, say the carbohydrates. If you have a large portion of rice, just go with half portion of rice, or even silly things like, if you're sticking with the rice, for example, if you put your normal bit of rice on the plate, I'm a sucker for just thinking, oh, there's a little bit left there, I'll have the rest of that. Well, don't have the rest of that. That's controlling your portion sizes. Just the amount that you've got on your plate could be. You could have certain restrictions where you say, I am not having those things. Alcohol is a good example, just saying I am not having alcohol for 28 days. It makes it really black and white, and then you know. Or you could have certain things that are coming up, like I've got a stag do slap bang in the middle of this, so I'll be having drinks on the stag do, but then other than that, I'm not having alcohol at all. You know, it could like a bit of a Lent thing. You could be like, I'm not having chocolate, or I'm not having biscuits, or whatever your vice is. You could say, I'm not having that. You could say that I'm only going to have biscuits with my brew on Monday, but then not on Tuesday, and then I'll have them on Wednesday, and then I'm not having Thursday, and then you're restricting again in some way. But it's just little things, and you've probably got some things that you're thinking about right now that you could maybe set yourself some little rules. And then some swaps. If you want to swap a few things out, again, something that is probably better to swap out, it's something that's more apparent in your diet. So like, say every day you might have a pint of orange juice, you could switch that out for orange cordial, which goes from a glass of 150 calories to a glass of 0 calories. And then every single day you're just reducing it down by 150 calories. Just something like that, a clear swap. The most boring example is biscuits. I like rich teas, but apparently they're the worst biscuit. I really like them, yeah. And I think it's something that you can have 4 rich teas compared to 1 digestive. So what would I rather have? 1 digestive or 4 rich teas? I think 4. More's better, right? You know, you're shaking your head. I think it's like 7 compared to a hobnob. And hobnobs are great. Yeah. But yeah, there's some little swaps that you can think about. If you need some examples or you can't think of something, you've got an opportunity to ask within the group after this, or me at any point. I've got plenty of them. Soul's really good at that sort of stuff. Your energy out then. So again, the kind of sciencey bit, your basal metabolic rate is essentially what you burn without doing anything at all. If I put you in a coma, you would still burn this amount of energy because it's what your body requires to survive. Then eventually you would run out of energy because you're not putting anything in, being in the coma, and then that's why people then die, which sounds really serious, but that's the best way to describe BMR. Yeah, it's a great way to lose weight if you want to be put in a coma. The other one is the thermic effect of food, so it's essentially the amount of energy that's required to burn food. You can do what some people say and like eat more protein because protein's harder to burn, which is absolutely true, but it's such a tiny part of this big thing that if you focus on, I'm going to have loads of protein to increase my metabolism and burn more energy because of the food that I'm eating, that's fantastic, but you're not really edging forwards, are you? You're not really doing that much. The two things that take the most amount of energy from your day, because we're thinking now of tipping the scales in a way of activity rather than what's going in, we're thinking about what's going out. Your EAT, or exercise activity thermogenesis, which sounds really cool, but it's essentially what you burn through doing exercise is what you do that's classed as exercise, which I would say for most of you is coming to the gym. So for that hour that you spend in the gym, can you maximize the amount of calories that you've burned? So that could be trying a little bit harder, or adding a few little bit of extra things in, like when we're doing the warm-up, do a few extra reps, or just make sure you're super attentive and you're ready to go. You maximize the amount of time that you're working out for. Jumping on the bike afterwards or before, walking on the runner, things like that. That will increase this. But the bigger portion is the non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which is just essentially everything that you class not as exercise. So right now, I'm burning more calories than you lot, haha, because I'm stood up. And it's just little things like that. I don't class this as exercise, but I'm stood up, so it takes me more energy than sitting down. If you want to take the stairs at work, that's the common one. If you want to park far away from the shop, so you have to walk in. If you want to carry a bag rather than push a trolley, anything that just makes you work a little bit harder or requires energy. And if you're the type of person that always takes the stairs, always carries a bag, you're going to burn more compared to the person that never carries a bag and never takes the stairs. Things like that will contribute more overall than what you're doing that, and that's kind of the secret tool. People, I've already kind of talked about this, but people overestimate what they do in the gym. Unfortunately, we don't burn a lot of calories in the gym, and the type of work we do, we actually increase our hunger because we're getting such amounts of high intensity exercise that you're almost like ravenous afterwards. So what you actually need to think about is increasing this to kind of offset potentially the increases in your hunger and metabolism, because you're trying to replace the energy that you've burnt in here. And it's very, very easily negated by just, unfortunately, a couple of hobnobs. And I'm not bashing hobnobs, but they can ruin your life. And then underestimating the other bits. But I think if we can focus on some of this, which we'll talk about, or we'll set some goals, this is going to be everyone's secret tool. So for fat loss, we've got your scales, talked lots about energy balance, where we think about just about what happens in terms of your weight. If you're eating too much, you're in a surplus. You're putting more in than's going out, you'll gain. For maintaining, you're exactly the same, and then for losing, we're putting more out than what's going in. You could technically increase the amount that's going in. So say you normally consume 2,000 calories as a round number. You can still achieve a deficit if you're consuming 2,000 if you also increase what's going out. But what most people do is they increase what's going in and not what's going out. So you can eat more and still be in a deficit so long as you are putting more out. These are the two things that we're going to focus on throughout the next 28 days. We've got a little, I can't remember what they call these now. The word is it a fable? Just like a story? A little story about what I think is a really good way to represent the rates of fat loss. You've got the hare, the tortoise, and the tree. 3 characters that are going to be the way that you're going to remember where you're going to be within your calorie control. You can either approach it really, really fast and lose it, lose the fat at a faster rate, but it comes with its own little payoffs because we all know the story. You can do it nice and steady and slow. Or the tree, which is the extra calorie, is just staying still, not regressing, and maintaining where you are. Because I think that's a really, really important part, because I myself know that I have got to a stage where I've been neither of these, and I've essentially been like, oh, fuck it then, I've ruined it. And then rather than staying still on the race towards fat loss, I've started regressing because I've just gone, well, it doesn't matter now, I might as well eat the whole 4 chocolate eggs that I ate last weekend. Guilty admission, you are forgiven. Excuse me. So the pros and cons of each, you can do whichever one you like. I think it's really important to understand all of them, and you can flip-flop between which they are. A bit like when you come in to train, some days you train hard, some days you don't really train that hard because you're having a laugh or whatever. Some days you might come in and you're just getting a workout done. They're all different types of intensities, but the most important thing is you've come and done something. If we're controlling in some way, we could be the hare, where we get really, really fast rates of fat loss. we'll see fast results. That can be motivating. That can mean that you are going to make all the best positive decisions. You feel really, really good about yourself because you're seeing the faster rate of loss. It also means that you've got loads of room for error. So if you're creating a huge deficit, it means that you could be making mistakes somewhere that you don't know. Or it could be that, again, Mary's brought in some cake from work, but you're in a massive deficit, so you can kind of afford to have that extra calories because you've created loads of room for error. You will still lose fat if you find a very, very large deficit, regardless of what you do. But it's really hard to maintain because it's quite aggressive. You will feel your hunger quite a bit more. You'll feel lethargic. You might get to a stage where you're craving things. There's loads of things that come with like being quite aggressive, and it's like kind of sprinting the first mile of a marathon. It's great, but if you can't maintain it, you might end up just completely checking out, which is the kind of the burnout bit. The tortoise will be my favourite approach. You're going to be more flexible, more sustainable. It's more resilient to what comes about. Mary's brought in cake, doesn't matter, fits within my calories, so I can keep being the tortoise and making nice, steady, slow progress. It's easier to maintain because you're not putting that much pressure on yourself. But with slower rates of fat loss can also come a little bit of a lack of motivation. You're not really motivated by what you see on the scales because you want to see faster results. You might be thinking, well, I'm working really hard, but I'm not seeing anything happen. It can take a long time, but I think if you're aware of that, you can kind of be okay with not seeing progress straight away. For example, I've not used this analogy before, but Sophie keeps checking our stocks and shares ISAs, and I'm like, stop checking it because it looks like we're losing money, but we're not because it's over the bigger picture, right? But if kind of the tortoise approach, you need to be in it for a long time to start seeing the gains from that, which is right? There you go. I'm doing a financial talk next week if anyone wants to come along. With the tortoise approach though, you don't have this. You don't really have a lot of room for error. You can kind of make some bad decisions. Alright, tickling my throat. You can make some bad decisions which then might put you into maintenance. It could put you over maintenance, which is okay. We can claw it back in some way, but it just means that there is less room for error. So there's kind of riding close to the line. Maintenance is great because it might be one day you go to maintenance on an occasion, let's say, and you say, I've got a little bit more to consume, but what the most important thing is you're not going backwards. That's the big part about this one. But you're also not making progress. But that's okay, so long as we don't make regression. That's the key point. So, the different times, I've said the word budget a few times. This is 3 different types of weeks. You've got the sort of steady approach, steady Eddie. You've got a weekend warrior who likes to go out weekend or have extra bits, whatever it is. So they have a little bit less throughout the week. And then you've got sort of more active days or treat days if you want to look at it like that. Steady just goes 2,000 calories every single day. Weekends, they have 1,800 calories on weekdays. And then on weekends, they have an extra 700 calories per day. Then we've got active or treat days where I'm not coming to the gym on Monday, so I'll have a little bit less. But on Tuesday, I am coming to the gym, so I'm going to have a little bit more to fuel my activity. Or I know Tuesday is a really crap day, so I'm going to maybe allow myself a little bit more wiggle room and have something more enjoyable for tea, for example. So you can have more treat days. Or it could be, I don't have dessert, I have dessert. I don't have dessert, I have dessert. I have 2 desserts, I have my normal. Yeah? You can kind of balance it out like that. But whichever you choose to do, all of these come to the same outcome. 2,000 calories per day or 14,000 per week. If I was to do that, based on sort of my body weight and activity levels, that would put me in a deficit. The budgeting approach is that you can be any of these, you can be one of these, you can be a mix, you can be literally whatever you want. You can budget however you like. Exactly the same way you have with money. You can spend it all on day one and then live like a pauper for the rest of the month, which probably most of us do with our actual wages. But you don't have to. You can do it. You can budget it and be really sensible, like Probably Emma does, maybe. You better I'd do. Otherwise, mind you, don't matter. Yeah. I'm not going to talk about money. You can save it all up for your occasion. So you've got a wedding coming up and you want to have an extra 2,000 calories. So you can plan 2 weeks ahead to save 100 calories per day for the next, whatever it is, 20 days. You can have 2,000 calories if you're a little bit smarter about it. It could be that you cram for like an exam and have nothing for the 3 days leading up, and then you can have loads that day, but you would feel like rubbish. But the principle would still apply. You can have fun when it matters, and be sensible when you can. That's 2 very, very important things there. You can be really, really strict over the next 28 days, which is great because you're doing it with the outcome of getting a result. Or you can have a little bit of fun when it does matter and you want to have some time with the family or friends, whatever it is. That might motivate you more to keep making positive decisions on the days, knowing that you're going to cut yourself some slack on the days that you want to enjoy yourself a little bit. We'll do a little bit of maths now. On your sheets, I'm just going to grab it so I can remember. Yeah, you've got your daily and weekly. You've got your hair, which is 22, your tortoise, which is 25, and then 30. You've got to times that by your body weight. If you know your body weight, you can do it by that. If you have a goal body weight in mind, you can use that. If you have a guesstimate body weight, you can do that. It's in kilograms. If you've got your phone, you can do it now. If you want to do it in a bit, you can also do it in a bit, but I'd like you to do maybe just one of them and just times your body weight by 30 and get your maintenance just for the next few slides because it will make a little bit more sense. Does anyone need a phone or anything to do some maths? Yeah? My phone's recording actually, so I can't. Bless you. Kids, mate. Has anyone got any questions, observations, reservations so far?
Is there a reason why whenever you look at anything to do with like calorie intake, there's never any, none of the like the algorithms or anything like that take into account exercise?
I don't know what the reason would be, but I would imagine the reason is it's so hard to calculate.
The accuracy,
Yeah.
I get that, but like I trained at 4 o'clock for Fabinobia. I'm starving.
Yeah.
Like it must make a difference.
I did.
So say you were to say like you should eat 2,000 calories a day, you should come to the gym 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And you spend every day starving. Like,
So what I would say to that is your goal fat loss?
yeah. Say it.
Well, I would say that as if I'm taking all emotion out of it, then good. That means you're losing weight. Because your goal isn't to replace the calories that you've burned. The goal is to essentially.
How do you strike a balance between like fat loss and not losing strength?
It's difficult.
To say you lost 10 kilos, but you lost 20 kilos if you squat.
That's why you essentially need to periodize things. If you're thinking about the really big picture, if we use CrossFit as like an example, go and get good at squats while getting good at gymnastics, whilst getting good at running, whilst getting good at weightlifting. It's almost like you can't do everything at once, yeah. So I think naturally in life, you go through periods of gaining size, gaining strength, having more energy, and then periods of having less energy, changing your body composition, leaning down a little bit. For example, Christmas, you naturally eat more because of whatever's going on. You probably train less. So you kind of go through, you periodize without knowing anyway. You've got periods of illness, you've got periods of holiday. There are times when you're not really focusing on losing weight probably. But then you've got other times where you can be a little bit more strict. Summer holidays, life events, coming of age, things like that. You'll periodize with it, but if you was to be like really strict about it and be like the fish and a rice cake guy, he will do cuts and bulks and cuts and bulks, which I don't agree with the terms, but they'll be so strict with it that that's essentially the way they do it. They'll go through periods of, like for example, sorry to jump in, I want to look leaner than what I currently am, and I wanted to look leaner than what I was when Herc was born. So I conceded to the fact that most of my workouts in here were going to be harder. I was going to have less energy. Some of the workouts I wasn't going to hit my numbers. I've not hit my top numbers in ages, but burpees feel great and running feels better.
I think if you take the steadier approach as well, it's easier to keep the strength of the body.
Absolutely, yeah. And I also think as well, remember, you're not necessarily losing the strength that you have, you're just unable to access it. Yeah. Yeah, relative to your body weight, exactly, yeah. So there's loads of things to consider.
For example, like typically men hold their weight in the gut, don't they? So like you have a beer belly or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So say you've got strong legs, but your upper body's weaker. Like, how do you make sure you can still build upper strength while still losing weight?
Again, it's a compromise, isn't it? I think you can burn the candles at both ends, but it's harder to do. You can build strength whilst in a deficit. You can build muscle whilst in a deficit, but you have to be really, really strict with the things that you're doing.
That's the way you get into like making sure you're eating protein.
Yeah, essentially, make sure you eat enough protein. Strength isn't built in the maximal end either, so you don't need like a real big surplus of energy to be able to build strength, because you're able to perform at around like 60 to 80% of your 1 rep max when I'm talking lifting. So if you wanted to build your upper body strength, you could lift not to your max, but do it consistently with the amount of energy that you've got, but I would focus your energy that you have got on that and not on other things that aren't going to build strength, like more activity. Yeah, like if you wanted to build upper body strength, but you're telling me you're doing 2 runs a week, I'd be like, well, maybe you need to use the energy to build the upper body strength. Yeah. Anyone else got any questions off the back of that? Oh. Next slide anyway. No, yeah? Cool. Right. You've got the numbers that you can fill in. The essentials, which is this bit, is going to be your calories. So, particularly for people that are doing fat loss, it's really important to come between these two. You've got your daily amount, your weekly amount. On the back of the sheets, you've got some blocks. If you've got a fat loss goal, I'd like you to choose the top row to be achieving your calorie amount that you want to achieve. So every day you'll just put a tick in the box of that row that you've done. I've hit my calories, or I've stayed beneath my calories. If you essentially want to be in a surplus, something like, we can do something different, but just for fat loss, hitting your calories. That is going to be the key point for everybody. The bonus points aren't the most important. If you don't do any of these for the next 28 days, I don't care, because that's not really the focus. Unless your focus is going to be on building muscle, but we'll speak about that as individuals. But you can still aim or be more mindful around hitting the protein goals for the day. Protein is based on a daily amount. Having more fruit and veg, that will increase the amount of micronutrients you have in and just improve the overall quality of your diet. Increasing the amount of colours within your food, that is another good way to just diversify your diet already and just improve it in some way. I think it's an easier way than thinking, God, I've got to have broccoli and spinach or whatever. You could think, well, I could have strawberries, I could have blueberries, I could have blackberries. They're all tasty, but they're all different colours. And then you're not just having beige. That's probably avoid beige. And then water. You could just set yourself a little target. I'm going to have more than no water a day, which some of you probably have. I saw Nelly shake her head when we said water before. You don't drink water, do you? I'm going to be the water police. But yeah, just having some more. What's going to be different about these next 28 days compared to the last challenge? We're going to all lock in how many extra non-gym sessions we're going to do per week. That could be absolutely anything. It could be just a walk. And we're all going to lock in how many more steps we're going to do. If you don't track your steps, that's okay. I'm going to set you a time limit to do. So you're going to have to set, I'm going to go on 10 minutes of walking every day, or 5 minutes of walking, or 2 minutes of walking, whatever it is, I just want you to choose something. So either choose an amount of steps or a time, and then choose how many extra gym sessions you're going to do. If you don't have extra gym sessions that you, extra non-gym sessions that you want to do, the simplest one is going for a run. It can be a 5-minute run, a 10-minute run. Doesn't have to be running a 10K. It could be a home workout. It could be that you already go for walks, but because we're going to do something different, you're going to wear a backpack. So you're going to make it a weighted walk. That could be also just something that's extra, and that can class as your non-gym sessions. Or if you want to do extra sessions at home, I've got loads of home workouts that I'll give you access to if you want to do that. But whatever you do, as an essential, I want you to lock that in. And then on the back of the page, again, write down your non-activity, or you can write NEAT or steps, something like that. The second row will be something that you're going to do in an activity way. So we've got calories on the top line and then activity on the second line. Or steps, so like I say. And then every day that you achieve your calories and your steps. You can do, yeah, if you want to. It's up to you. How specific you want it to be. I would just write steps. Yeah, you've achieved your steps of the day, or you've achieved your non-exercise goals for the day. Calories and or non-activity, yeah.
So the one on the second bit, that should be something we do every day as well?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, so it's Monday to Sunday. We've got 7 blocks, yeah. So it's going to be achieving your calories today, doing some form of activity every day. The bottom line can be whatever you want it to be. It could be reading a chapter a day. It could be yoga, so stretching. It could be sending someone a nice message. Send me a nice message if you like. That'd be cool, that, when I have 10 people sending me a nice message every day. You're great, Lee. Yeah. Getting just 3 messages a day. But yeah, you can do whatever you want. Just, again, something that improves your 28 days, so that if your calories don't really work and your activity doesn't really work, you might have read a book by the end of it, something like that. It can be totally personal to you. It's just an improvement in some way. And then at the very bottom, I want you to make a promise to yourselves. Just in 4 weeks, I will. It could be try my hardest. It could be consistent. It could be check in. It could be ask for help when I need to. It could be fit in my dress, which would be not my goal. I'm going to keep that a secret that I try and fit in a dress. But it could be whatever you want it to be. Just set yourself some form of promise. And then the progress, the little symbols there, are things that you can use to track your progress. So you've got your tracker on the back. So we're already keeping a diary. So you can kind of give that circle around that one. You can track your weight. You can take pictures. You can wear different clothes. So you feel your clothes fit. You can just give yourself a subjective rating of stars or smiley faces. The flames one is a really important one. I want you to try and hit a streak for as long as possible. If you can hit a 28-day streak over the 28-day challenge, I can basically guarantee that you're going to have a result by the end of it. Even if you don't really do that much. If you do 28 days of not that much, you've done a hell of a lot more than what you would have done if you'd not done the challenge. I really, really like this. This is the most boring part, but I think this is where most people go wrong when they do something nutrition-wise. They change everything. I don't want you to change everything. I want you to improve on what you're currently doing, because that's more likely to last. If for 28 days you follow the Atkins diet or something like that, you're going to stop after 28 days. You're not going to continue doing it. You might get results, but you're not going to continue doing it. If you decide you're going to do 10K every single day, you're also not going to continue that after 28 days. What I want you to do is figure out what you're already doing and just stack on top of it, just improve it in some way. Assess where you currently are. If you have no idea what you eat, I'd suggest doing a food diary, and for the next 3 days, or 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, just keep a food diary. No pressure to come within your calories, and it might just open your eyes to be like, wow, I barely eat anything for breakfast, but my lunch is way higher than it needs to be. I could bring that right down, and then I'm not really having a lot at tea time. It could be, I didn't realise I eat so many hobnobs. Could be something like that. Just keep a food diary in some way. I'm dreaming of having it. Yeah, we are. Yeah. 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 Share price and Hobnobs go up. But yeah, just find where you currently are, change from there rather than changing everything. Those that are, sorry, yes, go on.
The time we eat affects how we can burn fat.
Nope. The only thing that will come into play with time is that we're putting 24 hours as our time for the amount of calories that we're consuming. So your calories reset after 24 hours. The time that you eat won't impact how much fat you store, anything like that. You could say that you're better off eating more before you train and less after you train, particularly if you train at the same time, because we're trying to fuel the activity that we're going to do. But I think that gets too complicated for what we're trying to do. If you just try and have the amount of calories within the day, whenever you want them to be, and then the next day start again, we'll do that every single day, and then you're bringing the calories down. It's a good question. If you're training last thing at night, and then first thing in the morning, if you want to have the best possible workout first thing in the morning, you need to refuel after the last thing at night. Because if you go to bed or you don't have that much to eat after your workout, this workout's going to be really, really challenging, the one first thing in the morning. But if you do it basically the same time every single day, which I would say pretty much most of us do, your normal diet will replenish any energy stores that you're going to need to use anyway. The other thing to say is, on the back of that, you don't need to fuel for CrossFit. If you're training once a day, you don't need to fuel. The amount of time that we're training for, you have enough energy stores anyway. So when I see people coming in and they're eating sweets because they want fuel for it, it's essentially pointless. The amount of time that it will take to metabolize them, you're not going to use it in the workout. The amount of time we're working out for, if we do, like today, we've done 16 minutes of exercise, and within those 16 minutes, you was resting for just as much time you was working, so that's 8 minutes of exercise. Your body has 8 minutes of energy without having to put something in. The only time I'd say you need to fuel is if you're being active for over an hour to maybe like an hour and 20 minutes. That's probably the only time that I say you need to start eating to fuel your exercise, which is almost what nobody thinks. I'm probably going to cut this out of the video. One of the reasons why the lot at Perform, if you know the gym down the road, Perform, where Steve's gym, one of the reasons I think why most of their members are absolutely shredded is because every single day they do probably like 40 minutes of working out. Every single session is like full on, such high amounts of volume, loads of intensity for a long period of time, essentially like doing high rocks every single day. The high rock sessions we do are longer periods of exercise. Now we do CrossFit, so we want to get good at all the different like intensities, short periods of time, long periods of time, medium periods of time, times when you lift heavy, times when you lift light, times when you're explosive, times when you're not, times when you do something complex. Those aren't the best things to burn the most amount of energy. The best thing to burn the most amount of energy is prolonged periods of constant exercise. So technically, not that I want you all to leave, but if you want to just strip your body of all fat, do things like, don't go to Perform, but go for runs, like an hour of running. Yeah, that's constant exercise. But from kind of going full circle, you don't actually need to fuel for CrossFit. Just have a normal diet and you'll be absolutely fine. And if you're in the hair zone, just be okay with the fact that it's going to feel a little bit harder because you're going to have a little bit less energy. But that's good because we're trying to lose body fat. Those that are going to track their body weight, I want you to track, if you are going to track your body weight, track every single day. Once a day, set yourself a rule, no more than once a day. I'll be really annoyed if you do it more than once a day. Just once a day, the same time, the same conditions, the same clothes, or no clothes, but whatever is the same. before or after you go to the toilet, before or after you eat food, whatever it is, just the same thing every single time, and that will mean it is as accurate as it can possibly be. And even when it's as accurate as it can possibly be, you've still got the margin of error of what the scales say, whether they're slightly on a wobble or not. If you're on carpet or lino or whatever, there's loads of different things that could come into play. But what we're trying to do is just see an overall trend, and we're trying to find out which direction we're going in. And even though we go up and down, we're still trying to look at going like this. Now, if this person, this is an actual person, was to do once a week, and they weighed in at this point here where they're 70, and then again at this point here where they're 70, they've tried really, really hard for this period of time, and then gone, Liam, exactly the same weight. When in actual fact, their average weight will be somewhere in between, because they've been really low days. Because they did it every single day, they're motivated, because I'm like, look, just be calm, we're absolutely fine. One day was big, and then it's dropped again. And that could be they've ate more salt in the meal the time before, so they're retaining more water. They haven't digested all of the food. They've not gone to the toilet as much as what they could have done. The hormones might be coming into play because they're in a different part of the menstrual cycle. There's so many things that could come into play that will mean that this goes up and down. But she was cool. She then went up a little bit, and then she had a big drop. And then she went back up, and then she went a big drop. And it kind of works in that way. And I've got so many examples of this, because people weigh every day. Now, there is an emotional connection to weighing every day, and it's not for everyone. That's absolutely fine. Stepping on the scales isn't going to make you lose weight. So if you don't want to do it, that's fine. The actions that you take will be the thing that takes you in that direction. I'm a data person. I like to see that I'm going in the way that I want to, but I can also remove the emotion from it. So if you do want to give it a go, just for 28 days maybe, step on the scales once a day, see what happens, and you might be a convert after 28 days. You might turn around to me and say, Lee, you've given me mental problems for doing it, and now I've thrown my scales out the window, but at least you give it a go. But I would say, just try and be nice and calm about it. Right, this is, you'll be glad to know, the end. Your daily actions, whether they're big or small, I want you to make them, whether it's 10,000 steps or 2,000 steps. Being in your hair calories or being in your maintenance, whatever it is, just make small actions every single day and be consistent with them. As a rule, when it comes to your daily actions, 28 days, like I said at the start, isn't that much. You can do something for 28 days. You're all capable of that. If you can't do 28 days, you can certainly do 14 days. So as a rule of the challenge, you're never allowed to miss twice. If you miss your calories on one day, the next day you have to do everything within your power to not miss twice. The same for your steps, the same for your other thing. You're not allowed to miss twice. And if you follow that rule, you'll improve by 14 days. If your other 14 days are really bad, then maybe not, you might be the same. But you're trying to be as good as you possibly can be. So if you can never miss twice, fantastic. It's a very, very short frame of time. So you can be as aggressive as you want to be, that's fine. But remember, it is a challenge as well, so it ends at 28 days. So you can be really aggressive and then drop off to the 28 days, that's fine. Try and be as consistent as you can afterwards, but I would also say, knowing that there's a light at the end of the tunnel means that you can go a little bit harder than you might want to. And that comes into when you've got to make difficult decisions. That could be that you decide that you're not going to have cake at your friend's wedding. It could mean that you're not going to, you're going to go for a run when it's raining outside. Things that you don't want to do, it's a challenge. Challenge yourselves. Measure the things relevant to you. Everyone's got different goals. Everyone's got different things that will work for them. Just make sure it's relevant to you. Oh dear, I need a drink of water. And then, like I said, keep calm, don't panic. If you don't see results straight away, that's fine. It's going to be a long period of time, and Claire did the last one. Mish did the one a while back. DJ's on a fourth consecutive one. If you panic straight away and you give up, like a couple of people did on the last one, they didn't get anything from it. But the people that just persisted and got to the end of it, they all got something from it. So just do the best you can. Make the small decisions and be as consistent as possible. The last one, some of you may laugh, but the WhatsApp group will be there for support. I will put some things in there. You can ask questions to me. I'd prefer if nobody answers the questions other than me, unless it's directed at the group. but I want to keep it as lean as possible, that we've not just got loads of things going in there, because people mute the group, people don't get involved, people get put off, people don't want to be super social. If we keep it just as support, that would be really, really good. And if people want to break off and make their own little support groups, that's fine. But rather than have a big group of people and everyone being like, fuck's sake, they've messaged again. I don't want that to happen. I want you to be, keep it as lean as possible, yeah? Any questions? No? A round of applause then instead? Thank you very much. I also regret my choices of wearing a t-shirt and trackies, and no trackies. I'm absolutely freezing, so you must be really cold. Yeah. If anyone does have any questions off the back of it, please message me. Tonight, I'm going to put everyone in a WhatsApp group, and there are lots of people that aren't here that are in the group. I should have everybody's number based off Team Up. If anybody isn't in the group, message me on Instagram or something by the end of tonight. Just let me know. If anyone doesn't want to be in the group, just leave. That's also fine. If anyone has any questions, message me. Yeah? Go on. So technically it starts today, but we've not really done anything today. Some people are starting Monday. Some people are starting tomorrow. That's fine. Yeah, you're all going to go straight to the kebab shop and the pub. Yeah, you can start whenever you want. Yeah, start on Monday. Yeah. Everyone's starting Monday, yeah? I mean, if everyone wants 2 days more progress than everybody else sitting in the room, they could start right now. But it's up to you guys. I'm not saying anyone's competitive.
What's the best calorie tracker?
Right, okay, yeah, so NutriCheck, I think, is the best one. It's a UK database. It's the easiest to use. It's better than MyFitnessPal in a sense of it's less confusing. It's a lot more simple. There is a paid version, but if anyone wants to use NutriCheck, if you let me know, I know a couple of people that are paid for it. I've run out of referrals, but if someone refers you that has a paid plan, you get 30 days. There you go. So if anyone wants it, they can refer you, and then you get 30 days rather than the 7-day period. So you could actually have the free version for the whole challenge. Yeah? So if anyone does want it, message in the group saying, I want NutriCheck, and then people will send the links through. Yeah? Do you have a question? No? Do you have a question?
No, that's what I was going to ask when it starts.
When it starts, yep, start whenever you want. Anybody else? No, cool. That either means you're all being shy, or I've done a really good job. Or I talked absolute shit and everyone's like, oh, I just want to go home. Cool, right.